there, this is Jeanette Comerford for Whimsy Stamps, and my video today features a clean and simple card. I used the new image Howl I Live. It is illustrated by Chrissy Armstrong. It comes with this sentiment plus another 2 sentiments that I didn't use, and so we're going to quickly get into making this card. The first thing I did was I stamped it on Nina cardstock. I used Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and now I'm just starting to color up the 2 puppies. So I'm using a new color combo for me. I realized I had not been using my E70 series, and I thought it would be sort of a good time to use them, and I really like the sort of very neutral brown that you get when you use the E's. I did use E40 as the base to just make a lighter color, and then I used the E70 series. So you can see that I am just adding some dimension by adding some shading wherever there are folds or body parts that are lying on top of one another. That's where I put my shadows, and I'm just blending it all out. So I'm going to be making the body of the dog light, and then the spots are going to be darker. So that's why I went over the spots when I was coloring. I wasn't careful to go around them because I knew I was going to be coloring over top of them, and it wouldn't matter if I had colored with the lighter marker. So I'm going to be now using 3 of the darker colors in the E70 series to color up the spots. Just use my colorless blender there. I didn't list it, but whenever I go out of the lines and I have to sort of move that ink back into the image, I use my colorless blender, which is 0, and I just push the color in with it. So I love using these sort of whimsical images that are so easy to color up and so fast. There's so much interest in them. You see the flowers, and the other dog has more like fur, like you see he's more fuzzy, I would say. So you're going to see I'm going to be using a different coloring technique on him. So this card was so much fun to make. Decided to use these dark colors for his nose as well. So now the first sort of layer of color for this dog, because I want him to be fuzzy and furry, I'm just laying down 1 layer of E30, and I'm going to let that dry. Moved over to the flowers here. Then I'll move over to the heart on the collar. So I'm just sort of coloring in the other components of the image while I wait for that E30 to dry, because I'm going to be putting in strokes of color. So you can see that now with a darker marker. I am just sort of making short strokes starting at the edge and sort of pulling my marker inwards, and just making all these little flicks or these strokes, and this is going to make the little puppy look furry. So again, I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to move over to the greenery here, the leaves of those flowers, and then I will move in with a darker color again, and the same thing. I am just making short little flicks, working from the edge inwards, just pulling that color in. And with this technique, the key really is to wait until it's dry. If you don't wait till it's dry, you're just going to end up blending everything together, and it won't look like fur. Just adding the blue for the collar on this one. And then this is the darker color that I'm using I'm using that sparingly, and I just went back and forth with these colors that I used until the dog looked exactly the way I wanted. So now we fast forward to the sort of background coloration. I used a Prismacolor pencil to add some grass, and you can see I went back in again with my Copic marker just to add a little bit more color to that dog. So now I'm ready to cut it out. I'm using a scalloped rectangle die to cut that out. It has a nice stitch detail on it. And now I'll just add some white dots for some highlights on certain parts of the card. I'm going to create my card base, an A2 size card base. And I'll just glue that on top. And I really like how the scallops show up over that base. It's really pretty. Just using my blender because I had a little bit of marker over the image there. Then I just pulled out some sequins or rhinestones, and these were from the March Whimsy kit that I got, and you can see I have a ton left over. And then I pulled out some clear sequins as well. And these are fun to add on to a card that's just one layer. It just adds a little bit more dimension to it, so there's a little bit more interest. I'm going to glue those on using my Zig glue pen and my little quick stick, which just sort of picks up the sequins, makes it a lot faster, and sort of ensures that you glue them down where you wanted them originally. A little bit of Wink of Stella on the collar. And then I decided to add some glossy accents over those hearts as well. And my card is all done. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video featuring Howl I Live. A full list of supplies and links can be found below this video on YouTube or on my blog.